Well, good evening. Welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. I wanted to do handle some of the comments and give you a response of sorts. So, one of the things that seems to have gotten people's eye is the pranks. So, how do Beth and I decide to do a prank? And we do, both of us, decide on what would be a prank. So, in effect, I guess the ones who are pranked are the audience. Now, Beth had the idea that if, in the same way that she had the idea of running alongside and dancing alongside the open door of the moving truck, her idea, I go along with it, and she does it, and it's funny. Now, she wanted to do me telling her, no, you have to get out of the truck, and then driving away without her and leaving her there to walk behind. That was her idea. Oh boy, I've come out as everything but the Prince of Darkness on that one, haven't I? And yet, when she did her little prank with the shirts, and she got my shirt, she never told me about that one, and I thought it was funny. Did I feel foolish? I guess, because I didn't recognize my own shirts. Well, that's because, and there's a very good reason for it, because the shirts that I wear every week go into the wash, they get washed again, and they get brought back as clean laundry, and I wear them. And so I tend to wear the same shirts, same 4 or 5 shirts, all the time. This is a t-shirt that I don't normally wear, so it's different, just for a change. So I go along with anything that I think would be entertaining. Now this brings us to the crux of what we do. People often say to me, wow, you could probably make furniture for a living and make you could do that as a job in the Philippines. Somebody else said that we could breed pigs. Somebody else said that we could do all kinds of very innovative ways in which we could earn a living. And I'm a little bit puzzled by this, because I thought that it was fairly obvious that we do have a job. We make videos, and we think up things that we can make videos of. Beth will come to me in the evening, like now, and she'll say, make 5 videos. Now, oh, believe me, she can be ruthless. And I'm supposed to be able to just pull videos out of the hat, like a rabbit out of the magician's top hat. And I usually can produce maybe 2 or 3 videos on subjects that I've thought about during the day, or things that have happened during the day. So what we do is make videos. Now, in the past few months, because of our mission to help being on hold until we finally get all of the paperwork, agonizingly slow though it is, and we get all of that done, then we're doing videos. We're enjoying a lot of time together now, which is heaven sent, because, as you may know, we've been going to a clinic for an in vitro procedure, which is ongoing. There were things, numbers that they have. They have this way of getting a new medical statistic on something that is human, biological, and if those numbers are not good enough, in other words, if they're not high enough, then action has to be taken, and that's what we're doing right now. We're taking, Beth calls it heavy medication. It's not medication, it's taking, well, as I showed you, stuff like this, look. Stuff which is made to make you healthier. We're eating a much healthier diet now. we're eating virtually no meat, very little. We crashed, crumbled the other day, and went and had liempo, which is a kind of barbecued pure pork. So we're crumbling now and then. I'll have a chocolate bar or a chocolate cake or something. We're not perfect. We're not perfectly disciplined. So what else did I want to comment on? Well, I've dealt with the idea of the videos and how we actually have an equal partnership. I don't say what has to be made, neither does Beth. We come up, hey, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? And sometimes it lights a fire and sometimes it doesn't. When Beth makes a suggestion about something, it's usually based more on what she's been researching. So she actually does research. Now, I know that some of the purists think that we shouldn't think of likes or of views, but we are in a business, and we do think about those things. We do think about views. We do think about getting subscribers. As I've said in the past, though, the way that I sorry, no pun intended, the way that I see it is that I think that you should do what you want to do. You should do what you think is fun. You should do what you love doing. And that's what I do. I may on the sufferance make some concession with Beth if she wants me to make what I think we've already done, but she says you can do it and you can increase or expand on what you've said already. And strangely enough, it usually works out that way. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about was titles. Now, even our best friends are saying, Terence, Beth, you need to find some different words instead of shocking, controversial, and stuff like that. You know what? There's something about the way that Beth almost gets it right that is appealing, and it works. So yes, we'll find a few people who say, well, you should do this. We have a lot of people that tell us what we should do. Somebody suggested, somebody that I respect and admire because of his intelligent, well put together comments, has suggested that, well, come on, Terence, you should be able to learn some of the language. And you know what? Yes, that's true. But what the heck? I'm doing enough. And so try to concentrate or focus on what I do manage to do rather than what I fail to do. Okay? And cut me some slack. Now, I feel that when Beth, what happens is that after I've done a video, I will give what I think is an intelligent, factual title. Right? So let me see if I can find some. See, I put here. I usually number my videos that I've done, and I leave them written out. And underneath I'll have notes. Let me see, what can I find for you? See here, she said, why don't you do a video on how people are afraid of bringing their Filipina to their country? And so the title that I put are, what are the fears of bringing your Filipina to your country? But then somewhere between there and what actually gets put down, perhaps the grammar will go slightly awry, or I'll put on number 2, earning a living in the Philippines. Well, then I change it and put finding your forever. Third, The Alchemist, success stories, winning against all odds. Now that would be acceptable grammar, and then somewhere in between, like I think Beth reminds me a little bit of the American Yogi Berra, who used to get things almost right. He said, it ain't over till it's over, and I think of the Sam Goldwyn, when he used to say he was the great the movie mogul, and he said a verbal contract isn't worth the paper it's written on. Now there's almost a sense of logic there, and yet it's not. See, so somewhere in between, Beth does something which makes people smile. Like if I say, if I'm taking her somewhere, we're going in the truck and we're going somewhere, if she's calling someone to say that we're nearly there, she won't say we're nearly there, she'll say we're almost near. And she was the one that said, louder your voice. She's the one that says, yeah, yeah. And she brings in these Bethisms, and they are funny. So am I going to start hounding her to do things differently? Yes, but I'm not going to expect her to change that much. So every time I look at another title and it says shocking, I say, well, I'm not really shocked, am I? Someone said, well, there was nothing teary-eyed in that. It's one of Beth's things. It's one of Beth's titles. It's one of the things that she sees. Here's an indication of how, when a person is not talking or expressing herself in her first language, what happens is that a word which should be a noun becomes a verb, or an adjective, and the word becomes different. We have a cat called Golden. Well, the cat is not golden. Now, if that was in the West, the cat would be called Goldie. You see the difference. But Beth says, no, the cat's name is Golden. And then she calls one of our kittens is called Giraffe. Now, as a Westerner, I might think, well, we could call it Raff, and that would be a good name, like Raffy Tulfo. So, oh gosh, I shouldn't have mentioned that name, should I? People are always telling me to get in touch with Raffy Tulfo. But you understand how when someone is not speaking, writing, expressing in their own language, then words become of a different value. They are the sound, and I can't think of a word that I've used myself that I've thought was quite attractive. But yet, when I said it to Beth, she said, no, you couldn't possibly use that because it means this. See, so she hears things for meaning when it's her own language, but when it's my language, she hears things for the sound. Like the word giraffe. Someone said, well, you can't call a cat a giraffe. Well, she's not calling a cat a giraffe. She's calling a cat giraffe. Big difference. What else? I think I told you that very good example of how somebody that I knew in a band that I was in came from Hungary, and he used to get things almost right all the time. And for us English speakers, it was very funny. We loved the guy, so it was not being unkind. But he would say things like, he came over to see a friend of mine that was in the band room one particular night when we were on a performance, and he came over and he was very proper. He spoke very proper English that was almost right, and he came over and he said to her, "Just a short interview," meaning just came over for a quick chat, but he said just a short interview. English can be very funny when it's gotten not quite right, and that's what we're really looking at here. So are we going to be losing anytime soon words like shocking or controversial? I wouldn't make any promises about that, but maybe she will gradually change. This is a foreigner in the Philippines. Thanks for looking. Bye for now.